Hey everyone, this is Kevin from thechesswebsite.com, and today we're going to be going over a cool little trap, and I'm going to name it the Queen Amidala trap. I don't know the official name. There may not even be one, so I'm just going to, since it's from the Queen's Indian Defense, I'm going to just call it the Queen Amidala trap from Queen from Star Wars. So it starts out with pawn 2 d4, knight 2 f6, simple development move, holding on to these light squares on e4 and d5. Pawn 2 c4 from white. Black's going to play pawn 2 e6. Now a lot of times you will see the knight come to c3 from white, but if those players from white don't want to get into the Nimzo defense, then they will play knight to f3. And this is where the Queen's Indian Defense comes in, and it's pawn to b6 here. Getting ready to fianchetto the bishop to this b7 square if it wants to. In this variation it's actually bishop to a6, as we'll see. But white's going to continue in the main line with pawn to g3, eventually wanting to fianchetto his bishop to g2 here, trying to contest this long light square diagonal that black wants to put his light square bishop on b7 and control here. From here, bishop's going to come to a6 from black, and it's going to try to attack this white pawn on c4. Now white doesn't have too many good moves as far as defending this pawn. If you do want to learn about all the variations as far as white's moves, you can definitely watch the Queen's Indian Defense video. But for this trap, the main line is for white to continue with pawn to b3. And now our bishop's going to come bishop to b4 check. And so white has to respond here. And there's two moves that you will see, but we are setting a trap. But keep in mind, this is the normal main line for black. So even if you do this and white doesn't fall into the trap, that's not a problem. You will still be able to continue about your game. You don't have to do anything crazy or have some crazy sacrifice that if it doesn't work, it's going to be very bad for you. But just keep in mind, the best move from white is bishop to d2, and this is going to continue on the main line. But a lot of times you won't see bishop to d2. A lot of players really love their bishops a lot and don't want to trade them off, and so a few times you may come across knight to d2, and this is a mistake, and it's a mistake because we can bring our bishop to c3, attacking this rook on a1. Now white's going to have to play very carefully if he does not want to hold on, or if he does not want to lose his rook. But a lot of times white will falter and will lose his rook. But as you can see here, the best move for white now is to bring his rook to b1. And now we're going to bring our bishop back to b7. And we're eyeing down on this e4 square. We'd really like to bring our bishop to this e4 square. And then as you can tell, this rook is completely trapped here. Now the only option that white has to hold on to this rook is to bring his bishop to g2. We are still going to bring our bishop to e4, but now white is going to bring his knight to h4. Obviously he needs to protect his bishop here on g2, or else we could take it. And now we're not going to take this rook on b1, or else he would just take our rook on a8, and that's really not that great of a trade for us. He takes our rook, we take his rook. But instead here, once we take his bishop on g2, he has to recapture with his knight on g2. And as you can see here, his knight originally was on this f3 square. And what was this knight on f3 doing? It was protecting the center, and at the same time, it was protecting this pawn on d4, which in the Queen's Indian Defense for white, this is a very, very powerful pawn. So we're going to go ahead and take that pawn on d4, and black's going to have a very good game. Now keep in mind here, white only lost this one pawn only because he played perfectly and held on to this rook. A lot of times you will see white falter, and they will lose this rook here on b1. But if you just look at this, as you can see, the Queen's Indian Defense, we have yet to lose a piece except our light square bishop here. We're up in material, and at the same time we have taken away the central focus that white has. In the Queen's Indian Defense, the white really focuses on this d4 pawn. He hasn't pushed his e pawn forward, and instead he's really trying to focus on these dark squares. He's trying to control this e5 and this c5 square with his d4 pawn. And that's really what it's centralized about, and since we've taken that, we've kind of taken control. So this is a way for, in the Queen's Indian defense to kind of lay a trap in your normal attack, and possibly get this rook on b1. But if white does play correctly, he now has his knight on g2, which is pretty passive. He's going to have to actually move this around a couple times for it to be a little bit more active. And at the same time, all of our pieces are playing very well together. We can bring our knight to c6, very active move here. We can start to push our pawns forward, and we're up in material, and we're going to have, in my opinion, a very easy game going forward as far as controlling the center of the board, and just having much better active pieces in the middle. So keep in mind, this is a trap to potentially win this rook on b1, but if white does play correctly, at the least you'll go up a pawn in material and have a much stronger position and control over the game. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. It is a little bit shorter, but I definitely want to make sure that you're aware of this nice little trap in the Queen's Indian defense. If you haven't checked out the website, www.thechesswebsite.com, hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.